Hi, I'm Nick Henderson, and I'm going to be presenting a project called Do Lyrics Tell the Whole Story, where I'm trying to predict musical genres from just the lyrics. So the data I started with here was taken from something called the Million Songs dataset. It was the official lyrics dataset for the Million Songs dataset, which is this music match dataset that is just over 200,000 songs with a bag of words format. So just words and the counts, but not the raw lyrics for copyright reasons. Then I found genre labels from several different sources and combined them all together and got as many matches as I could, which was about 100,000. At that point, I realized that if I wanted to do a deep learning model, I would actually need the raw lyrics as well. So although this is a little backwards, I went back and then scraped the raw lyrics from genius.com for as many of those songs as I could. I removed all the non-English songs and ended up with 70,000 songs, 12 genres, and I had data frames for the counts of each word, the TF-IDF, which is a different quantification of counts for words, basically, and just the raw lyrics for every song. And here's an example of what the TF-IDF data frame looked like. So a bit of just background on the data. The distribution looked like this. I had far more rock songs than any other genre, but otherwise somewhat balanced. And there were very few new age songs, so I ended up just dropping those completely and working with 12 genres above those. So I wanted to look at just sort of how the words were distributed in different genres and found that in terms of being lyrically diverse, rap blew everything else out of the water. So by unique number of words per song, rap was about double everything else at over 100. And on the flip side of that, I looked at how many times each word is repeated in a song. And the most repetitive genres were R&B, pop, and electronic, with things like folk, metal, punk, rap all being less repetitive. I also wanted to look at what kinds of words were common in each genre. So I used the TF-IDF data to generate word clouds. I used TF-IDF instead of the raw counts to get somewhat more unique words for each genre. And you can see that you did get some good separation between the genres. Metal had words like die, death, blood, burn, very metal words. Reggae, things like D and dem that probably don't really appear in other genres. And then, blues, things like baby, lord, woman, love, bluesy concepts. Although I should say that a lot of the other genres overlapped a lot. So these ones make it look good, but when you look at the other genres, it's much harder to tell apart things like rock, country, folk, pop. So some setup for the modeling. The metric I used was just accuracy. So how often do I predict the correct genre? I used six-fold cross-validation as the validation method. And I used two different baseline models because I wasn't sure which would be the most fair. One was a random genre with proportional probabilities. So just pull a random genre for each song in the test set, but with the probability based on how many songs are in each genre. And there the accuracy is 25%, 0.25. And then I also did one where I chose the majority class every time. And that's 0.47 because 7% of the songs are rock songs. So the final model I settled on, I tried a few, but I'll just show the final here, was a long short-term memory, or an LSTM model. So this is a deep learning model where I was using the raw lyrics. And then they were vectorized to turn each one into a number. And then this can take into account the sequence of words instead of just how many of each type of word. So you can take a look at a few interesting things from this model. First, I should say the final accuracy is not very high. And I have some opinions on that. I think it's largely because genre labels are simply not that objective. I'll get into that in the conclusions. We can see is that this model really quickly overfits the data. So even after just 4 epochs of training, we've leveled out in terms of accuracy and loss, or just about leveled out. And going past that at all, the train accuracy continues to rise up to the high 80%, but the test accuracy never gets above this. So I think genre labels aren't very generalizable, and you just quickly do a good job fitting the training data, but do a bad job dealing with unseen data. And this model is generally better at precision than recall, at least for some of the genres. So things like, metal, rap, reggae, rock, it's okay at predicting that a song is in that genre, or making sure that anything it predicts in that genre is correct, but it has quite poor recall. So things that are on the borderline seem to sort of default largely to the rock category, which is the one that has the higher recall than anything else. So my conclusions from this modeling are that lyrics don't really tell the whole story. I think this is an especially difficult classification task because genre labels are somewhat subjective, and a song of any genre can be about any topic. So for example, you can have a song like this one, which was in the test set, the one that got predicted most likely to be country, but its actual label is rock. But if you look at the lyrics, it has things like about barefoot dancing and long, tall Sally, and a bunch of things that sound really country to me, at least subjectively. So I think it does an okay job picking out things that are stereotypically fit a genre, a really country or really rap song, but not a good job of picking out things on the borderline. And I think some genres simply overlap too much for clean classification at all, like pop and electronic and rock. So my future directions, one would be to just spend more time optimizing the LSTM model. I got to it kind of late and didn't have a lot of time to do as much optimization as I would like to. And maybe it's possible to deal with the overfitting and still get better train accuracy, or test accuracy, I should say. Another idea would be to just forget about genres altogether and do some unsupervised learning to do topic modeling. I think it might be more interesting to be able to just label songs as being about, love or heartache or drinking or whatever they're about, and maybe even be able to make a recommender that'll give you a song that's of a similar topic instead of a similar genre if you're in a certain mood. I also would like to scrape modern lyrics. The Million Songs data set's nearly 10 years old, so this is a little dated. And I think you can see the evolution in the lyrics, especially if you look at rap songs from that era compared to rap songs now. And then, a much more ambitious project would be to combine this with some sort of audio-based classification model. And then I bet you'd be able to get much better genre classification. Thank you.